Catholics have again gathered outside the St. Peter's Basilica praying for the health of Pope Francis, and the scene is one of devotion, nuns clutching rosary beads, priests murmuring prayers, tourists momentarily drawn into the solemnity of the moment, even as the Pope's doctors report a further slight improvement, and and suggest that the Pope is no longer in a critical condition. Uncertainty looms large over the Vatican. The Holy Father, 88 years old, has spent nearly 2 weeks in Rome's Gemelli Hospital battling double pneumonia. His condition, once critical, has stabilized. He's reportedly sitting up now, eating, engaging in light work, reading documents, signing papers. Yet despite this relative improvement, the spectre of mortality lingers, and his frailty, evident from the latest health crisis, has only intensified speculation over the future of the papacy and whether, presumably, if he survives this health crisis, he might consider resigning. Such discussions were once unthinkable. For centuries, a papal resignation was an anomaly, an almost heretical deviation from tradition, and that changed in 2013 when Pope Benedict stepped down, citing deteriorating health. And his decision has set a precedent, making it conceivable, but by no means inevitable, that Pope Francis might do the same. The Pope himself has acknowledged the possibility, stating in previous interviews that he would resign if he became physically or mentally incapable of fulfilling his role. Yet Francis has also demonstrated a willingness to remain Pope in visible weakness. He's accepted the use of a wheelchair, endured hospitalizations, and continued his duties despite chronic health issues. He doesn't mind being a frail Pope, one of his biographers has said. Should his condition worsen, the question of resignation may arise in a more urgent and unavoidable manner, but at the moment he doesn't mind being seen as vulnerable. And beyond his immediate health concerns, the long-term impact of Pope Francis on the Church is undeniable. He shaped the institution not just through his teachings, but through appointments, especially within the College of Cardinals, the body responsible for electing his successor. And of the 138 cardinals eligible to vote in a future conclave, 110 were appointed by Francis. That's nearly 80%, an overwhelming majority shaped by his vision of the Church. And many of these cardinals hail from the south, from the global south, regions where Catholicism is growing, in contrast to the decline seen in Europe. Figures like Cardinal Mykola Wojciech, a Ukrainian advocate for migrants, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a progressive Filipino, often dubbed the Asian Francis, they reflect this shift. And while some conservatives hope for a return to a more traditional papacy, the numbers suggest otherwise. The next pope is likely to be in the Francis mould, committed to social justice, environmental stewardship, and an inclusive approach to marginalized communities. The Church, under his leadership, has taken progressive stances on issues such as migration, climate change, and interfaith dialogue, often drawing criticism from hardline traditionalists who dismiss him as a woke pope. That said, papal elections are never predictable, and the secret of conclave is as much political as it is spiritual. And while Francis has appointed a vast majority of voting cardinals, they do not form a monolithic bloc. Some support his reforms wholeheartedly, others are more moderate or even conservative on certain theological questions. Among the names whispered in Vatican corridors, a few stand out. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, the Archbishop of Bologna, is considered a natural successor, known for his diplomatic skills and commitment to peace. Cardinal Tagle, with his pastoral charisma and theological depth, is another leading contender. More unlikely but symbolically significant would be the election of Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana, which would mark the first African papacy in modern history. Conversely, the conservative faction, though outnumbered, may push for someone like Cardinal Peter Erdo of Hungary, closely aligned with the nationalist rhetoric of Viktor Orban. But his proximity to right-wing European politics may work against him in a church that has spent the last decade embracing a more outward-looking, compassionate approach. For now, all of this remains speculation. Pope Francis, while frail, is still very much alive and continues to direct the church. Yet as he remains in hospital, missing key public engagements, the faithful are already experiencing a world without him at the helm. Some have expressed a desire for continuity. We want him to get better and continue the amazing work he's started. Others, like Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich, caution against premature discussions of succession, labelling them deeply disrespectful. But in the Vatican, where tradition and politics are forever intertwined, discussions are inevitable. And the conclave, when it comes, will determine not only the next pope, but the trajectory of the Catholic Church for decades to come. For now, the prayers continue on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica. A new pope is recovering. A church is waiting.